Hi there everybody, my name's Michael.
And my name's Tim.
And you're watching the TMI show.
That's the Tim and Michael Information Show.
Today we are talking about traditional versus digital.
Bum bum bum.
And it's like the Jedis and the Sith who've been forever the Jedis and then the Sith come out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but you know.
Yeah, when they do that can be Photoshop and Wacom.
Oh gosh.
Okay, get that out of your system, man.
It was funny.
Good, thank you.
So for those who don't know, let's talk about what is traditional.
Sure. Well, with traditional, it's really anything that people have used to create art up until maybe the last 20 years or so. So pencil, paint, ink, and it's going on really a physical surface. Yeah. Canvas, paper, the side of your mom's house, what have you. And digital would be?
Digital, again, last 20 years, even if you look at anything that starts to get digital, computer, graphic related, so 3D art, using Photoshop is also considered. Then I was going to say, right off the back too, there is also such a thing called mixed media.
Yes.
So before we get to that, let's just talk about, I don't know, do you have a preference, traditional or digital? Or?
You know, it depends on what you're talking about. I like working in digital. It's very forgiving, it's cheap, it's economical, which are really the same reasons that the entertainment industry has shifted so far to digital these days. I have the art books for Nemo, Finding Nemo, and Toy Story 3. Finding Nemo's got a few digital pieces in there, but it's largely traditional. By the time you get to Toy Story 3, digital sort of caught up, and almost all the work in there is digital, pencil, digital. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's easier. But if you're talking about art in and of itself, traditional it's much nicer. It feels more tangible. There's something about the way that pencil reads on the page, those brush strokes that you pick up in your oils or acrylics that you can replicate on the computer, but just knowing that it's real is...
See, and I always I always was kind of leaning on traditional all my life, and I felt like just kind of an old codger of like, oh, what about this Photoshop? Blah, 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 blah.
But, nothing wrong with that.
And it's fine, yeah, but the only thing is I didn't understand it, is all it was. And then I took a Photoshop class, and now all of a sudden I'm learning the, you know, the values of it, and also how I can actually use it to my, I mean, the Lincoln thing that I showed you.
Yes.
I mean, I guess that was mixed. I did a light pencil sketch, I scanned it in, and then I, you know, colored it on Photoshop. But I think it's also important to know, because you talked a little about Wacom earlier.
Right.
So some of the tools that you're also using, so if you're using pencils, if you're using charcoal, if you're using your paintbrush, as Tim was talking about, the nice little tangible piece of, you know, your whatever it is on the canvas or paper or wall of your mother's house. Sorry, Mom. And but then with digital, you've got a tablet or a mouse. Obviously, it had to start somewhere. So it was just somebody sitting there with the mouse. And if you look at, I guess, 8-bit Nintendo games or anything, somebody had to block each one of those in there.
Pixel pushers. That's what Advanced Kovacs called them.
Yeah, and that's what it was, you know. But that's what you. But then we started introducing the tablet, you know, which is this. I remember. A decade ago or something, someone showing me a tablet and me thinking like, that's weird, I want a screen that I could see on, which actually within the last few years...
Cintiqs, anyone?
Oh, the Cintiq. And if you've never used a Cintiq or don't know what it is, that's your homework. Basically, it's a screen that you can actually draw on, so it replicates what it actually looks like when you were drawing on paper. However, and this is the whole point that I was trying to get to, I still love the way my pencil drags across a piece of paper. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to replicate that, at least not yet. They've come up with some things, I know, that you can attach to the top of your page, and then you draw on real paper, and then it scans it in. So I mean, technology is great, but there's nothing that replicates that for me. So
there's really not. I mean, sharpening that pencil, you can feel it. You can feel it scratch against your paper. You know, they are trying to replicate that in, you know, in tablet technology. You talked about how you can just put a piece of paper over your tablet, and that certainly works. Wacom even tried that with their Intuos 4, which is the one I have,
Oh.
They tried a surface that was supposed to replicate the feel of paper for those, dedicated artists out there who like having that texture. The problem was it was wearing away at the nibs on the pen, which wasn't a problem before. I had that problem, and I fixed it with a sort of a screen cover, so no more paper. But I save, I save millions of dollars on our nibs by switching to paper.
And I also have seen that some tablet pens are starting to come with replacement nibs.
Yes.
Like they come in a little case and like you've got 6 nibs in there ready to go. And I'm like, well, I guess if you start, maybe that is the future. I don't know. So I guess I'm not really. I can't say if I'm biased. I think I used to be biased a long time ago. Just like I said, I didn't understand one medium. But now that I've started to use Photoshop, and I definitely respect it. What about just as not as us as working, but viewing?
I mean, gosh, it depends, because yes, you can create both great art in both platforms, traditional and digital, and really at the end of the day, digital, as fancy as it is just another tool. It's not going to make you a better artist or anything like that. It's just more forgiving. You can create great art in digital. We've seen Jason Slavin's stuff in illustration, which is amazing, and that's all done in the computer. And you can create great stuff in traditional too. I think for those of us who grew up with especially traditional mediums and just going to see that canvas and the way the paint spreads across that, because yes, the only way to get a digital piece into the real world is to print it out. So you've got your 8x10 glossy on your inkjet or laserjet or what have you. That doesn't compare to that nice traditional canvas.
A small segue. I remember and actually go and look at. I'm just gonna go with Aladdin because that popped into my head because I've seen cells. I've seen a lot of cells, and if you don't know what we're talking about, when you're looking at animation of old full-length animated features, a cell is actually just a clear piece of plastic that the actual figure or person, let's say Aladdin, is drawn on, and all of his color and everything. And so you have a background, but then the cells keep changing over to give it the animation, and that's all traditionally done. The cells are done that way, but nowadays we have a lot of digital. If you look at your animation on TV, and feels a little flat.
Yeah, it does.
Not as tangible. So I don't know. I'm not saying the digital can't get there, but there is something to our traditional means. But didn't I hear? I think I heard a quote from Tim Burton, and I don't want to misquote the man.
Do your best.
He was talking about Disney had shut down one of their departments. I think it was their cell department or something.
Probably like the ink and paint department or
something around there, and he was disappointed by it, and I am too, because I was reading about it and I'm like, oh shucks, like I hope that this is not completely just a lost medium, or maybe we're just seeing it dissipate. I mean, how often do we go through artistic movements in the past? And I mean, we're still not in Impressionism era, obviously, or Renaissance art, but I don't know. I still have hope that traditional sticks around. I think as long as there's always an art store, that'll.
I think it always will be. There's always the kind of the fine art traditional movement, and these are those starving artists, if you will, who aren't going into entertainment design or illustration. They just like making art for art's sake, and for them, it's not just a form of expression; it's a form of relaxation. And for them, relaxing is getting out there on their canvas or the paper, or going outside with a sketchbook, and working in that traditional medium with that actual pencil instead of staring at a screen all day and whatnot. But before we wrap up, because I think we're almost out of time, what do you think the merits are of traditional aside from presentation?
Again, it's something organic. Let's look at it as perfect. Let's say I drew a skull in 3D in Maya, which is another program that you can do some three-dimensional modeling with. Let's say I did a skull in Maya, and let's say I sculpted one out of clay. And let's say I got every single screen, high def, 1080, whatever, to do that, or every print that I wanted for the 3D model. But then I had the sculpture of the skull just sitting there right next to it. There's something real that happens, I think, with traditional when you look at it. There's something that just connects that I can't explain. You just get it. It's alive, it's breathing. Difference between vinyl and a CD.
Vinyl and CDs, between books and Kindles.
They sound great, you know. Digital works, but there is. I just got done reading Coraline the other day, and there was a point where I was just holding the hardbound book. There was something to this, you know, just hearing a page turn. There's a different, quoting Warm Bodies. I recommend the movie to everybody. One of the zombies.
Yeah, it's probably out on DVD by now, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Amazon. Oh no.
I think we're starting to run gag.
Ultraviolet. That's right. Remember, that's a new thing.
Oh yeah.
Digital. But one of the zombies collects vinyl, and he says, "More alive," is what he says. And so, if for the sake of sounding like some zombie, "More alive" is my answer. I think it's just there's something that happens there, and I'm like, oh. I really thought that digital was going to be the drive it home winner of this.
I did too,
because it's just so prominent. But I think traditional has just warmed our hearts. And I'm gonna go and draw one in oil pastels because it seems real.
And I'm gonna go take my pencil to the side of Mom's house.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
We better cut before we get in trouble. We'll see you next time.
Bye.